Hello, and welcome to today's mini webinar on the Helping Experts Accelerate Rare Treatments Act of 2020, also known as the HEART Act. Your audio is muted when you join the call. Questions during the webinar can be submitted via the question box on your screen. The webinar will last approximately 15 minutes, including time for a Q&A session after the presentation, when you will be able to unmute your audio. This webinar will be recorded and available on the PWSA USA YouTube channel. Effective advocacy is essential to ensuring the health, safety, and enhanced quality of life for those affected by Prader-Willi syndrome. As such, PWSA USA is committed to informing the PWS community of critical public policy issues to leverage the power of grassroots supporters to enact change. Because Prader-Willi syndrome is considered a rare disease, extra effort is needed to raise awareness amongst the public and elected officials to guarantee the passage of legislation and regulations that help our community and defeat those that do not. I'm going to go through the next few slides quickly, but don't feel like you need to take notes. After the webinar, you will be provided with a copy of this presentation, key talking points, and a recording of the webinar. First, we'll cover a bit about the background of the bill, comments from the sponsors of this bill, how this bill will impact the PWS community, and what you can do to advocate for the passage of this legislation. So let's get started. Lindsay Sutton, who lives with a rare disease called FCS, and Melissa, whose daughter was diagnosed with FCS, helped write the HEART Act after learning the FDA does not require rare disease specialists or patients to sit in on or serve on clinical trial committees to develop new treatments. The bipartisan bill was introduced in the U.S. House of Representatives on July 9th of this year by U.S. Representatives Paul Tonko from New York and David McKinley from West Virginia. If approved, the HEART Act will require the FDA to include experts in rare diseases on advisory committee panels for rare disease drugs. The bill will also ensure the FDA consults with patients when weighing treatment risks and strategies. In many cases, information about the burden and impact of rare disease is not well understood and data is limited. As a result, efforts to review new drugs cannot follow the standard procedures that might work well for other diseases, like diabetes or breast cancer, that affect millions of people. This legislation is supported by several of the nation's leading organizations in rare disease advocacy, including the FCS Foundation, Haystack Project, PWSA USA, doctors, and a broad coalition of leaders in patient advocacy and treatment for rare diseases. In both research and treatment, rare and ultra-rare diseases present many unique considerations that may not apply to other diseases. For that reason, it is essential that patients and medical experts with experience in rare diseases be directly involved in the regulatory review process for potential new treatments. The HEART Act will bring essential insights about rare diseases to support better decisions in every stage of the drug approval process. Specifically, the HEART Act would require FDA rare disease program staff to participate in reviews for drugs to treat rare diseases. Those experts' participation would be especially helpful when dealing with clinical trials that have small sample sizes, as many rare disease trials do. The FDA must also include experts in rare diseases on the advisory committee panels for rare disease drugs. Members of the patient community must also be consulted when devising or reviewing the risk evaluation and mitigation strategy for rare disease drugs that calls for patient participation. The bill also calls for the FDA to write an annual report detailing how many rare disease drug applications were reviewed, and for the U.S. government to review the best practices used in the European Union process for rare disease drug approval. This is because some drugs are approved in the EU, but not in the U.S. Although the highlights are on your screen, the bill also directs the General Accounting Office to review best practices used in the European Union process for rare disease drug approval, including data from open label extension studies. I wanted to share some quick quotes from the two representatives of this bill about the importance of this bill. This is Representative Tonko from New York. He said that rare and ultra-rare diseases present a unique challenge for drug development because, while some 25 to 30 million Americans have a rare condition, any one of these conditions, by definition, only impacts a relatively small number of individuals. Our bipartisan legislation tackles this issue by ensuring rare disease experts are at the table as these therapies are being reviewed by the FDA, as well as amplifying the patient perspective as safety protocols are being established. As a result, millions of Americans will see new glimmers of hope as treatments start to emerge with FDA approval and better information to guide health providers in the safe and effective use of those treatments. I urge my colleagues to join us in moving this legislation forward without delay. The other sponsor of the bill, Representative McKinley from West Virginia, had to say that oftentimes people suffering from rare diseases have few or no treatment options available. This bill makes practical changes to the FDA's approval process that can lead to new treatments and ensure patients have a voice at the table. By having more experts available to participate in this process, we can better understand and address the needs of patients moving forward. Many medical experts in PWS clinical trials have never treated PWS patients or had much experience with the disease. If passed, this legislation would ensure that the PWS experts and patients are more involved in the U.S. drug review process. The HEART Act is designed to ensure that experts who really understand rare diseases are involved in the drug review process. The HEART Act calls for these simple and common sense changes. For the FDA to include rare disease experts, including PWS experts, on advisory committee panels for drugs in clinical trials, and for the FDA to consult the rare disease patients, including the PWS community, when determining the risks and strategy for developing PWS drugs in clinical trials. Now that you know all about the HEART Act and the need for rare disease experts in the drug review process, let's talk about how you can advocate for its passage on behalf of the PWS community. You can send an email or physical letter to your representative. Your email or letter will be more effective if you address a single topic or issue rather than a variety of issues you may feel passionate about. A typed one-page letter is best. A physical letter is more likely to be read than an email. You can typically find an email or feedback web form in the mailing address on your elected official's website. Sending an email to an actual person is far better than using a website form. If you have trouble finding the best email or physical address, call the PWSA office and ask. I'll be happy to help you. Make sure your letter is legible and try to make it stand out by including pictures or bright colors to make sure it gets attention and leaves an impact. Do not include any attachments in your email, as the staffer who gets it may not be able to open it and it'll be caught in a spam filter. Keep it brief, polite, and free of errors. You can also use social media. Social media is a very public way to show your support or opposition to the policies or actions of your representatives. Not every elected official uses social media, but the ones that do are easily found by visiting their official website. When posting, make sure that you tag their official page and include a picture, as this increases the likelihood that others will read the text that goes along with it. Make it clear you are a constituent of the elected official and make the post personal. Be aware that any personal information will be visible to the public if you do post on social media. You can also make a phone call to your representatives. It takes less than 5 minutes and is one of the most effective ways to advocate. Staff are dedicated to answering your phone call, and every call matters. Phone calls require minimal time commitment and no traveling. Every elected official will have a public telephone number that constituents can call to leave feedback. This could either be a place where you leave a voicemail or talk with a staff member. Only call your own elected officials and clearly state the address at which you are registered to vote so they know that you are a constituent. Clearly tell the staffer what you want the elected official to do, why it is important, and why you feel motivated to call. Stay polite with the staffer on the phone, but be firm in your interaction, as it will be short. You can also attend a town hall meeting. Attending a town hall meeting is a chance to meet with your representative and get updates on what they've been doing. They are usually held in a public setting and free to attend. Town halls provide fantastic opportunities to gain face-to-face access with your elected officials. To find out when a town hall meeting will be held by your representatives, monitor their website and social media pages, or you can sign up for email alerts or just directly call their office and ask for event updates. In a typical town hall meeting, your elected official will speak for about 15 to 30 minutes about their activities in Washington. Then they will open the floor to questions from constituents. Raise your hand immediately when they ask for questions. The longer you wait, the more competition you will have for the microphone. This is your opportunity to ask about an issue or a piece of legislation. Make sure you have what you're going to say prepared in advance. You may only be given less than a minute to pose your question. Prepare a short summary of the bill or issue you are advocating for, and be sure to introduce yourself, state the bill number, the title, the summary, and what position you are advocating for and why. Your summary and explainer should be no longer than 1 page. Only address one bill or issue at a time. In this case, we hope that you will support the HEART Act. If you aren't given the chance to ask your question during the meeting, stick around afterwards and find a staff member. They can take your comments, answer questions, and refer you to appropriate staff members. Bring a business card with you or a printed letter to help them follow up with you. And don't forget to network with other attendees while you're there. It's a great way to get other people involved in the PWS community. You can also schedule a meeting to meet with your local official. Visiting your local district office takes some planning, but it makes the most impact. You'll have a chance to sit down with a staff member from your local district office, or maybe you can talk directly with your elected official. In order to schedule a meeting, visit the website of the person you want to visit. You should be able to find contact information for their scheduler or chief of staff, or you'll find a section of their website called Request a Meeting. If there is a web form to request a meeting, fill it out and someone will get back to you. Most state elected officials have district offices that are near your home address. You can ask to meet the elected official or a member of their staff in your district office so there is less travel involved. Work with your chapter to advocate as a group. The more people present at the meeting, the more amplified your message will be. Often, when a large group is requesting a meeting, the elected official will meet at a local library, town hall, or even a local venue to accommodate the size of your group. Because of the coronavirus pandemic, a lot of these meetings have been taking place virtually. You can expect to spend about 10 to 15 minutes with the elected official. It is not uncommon for elected officials to have legislative assistants hold the meeting instead. While the elected official may only have a very limited amount of time during the meeting, their staff are in positions to dedicate more time to hear your position and address your questions and concerns. You will want to introduce yourself, make any short statements about your position, your ask, your personal story, and what you came to meet with them for. Be clear with what you are asking the person you're meeting with to do. Stick to the issue you asked to discuss. If the conversation goes off topic, bring it back to the reason you came, and don't be afraid to press the staffer or elected official for a definitive answer or position statement in support of the HEART Act. If your elected official is willing, pose for a photo with your group and make sure that everybody has given permission to be photographed. If they have, share it all over social media. Thank the elected representative for their staff for the meeting with you and supporting the PWS community. PWSA USA also has templates that you can use. These prepared boilerplate text allows you to personalize your emails, tweets, phone calls, and letters. We hope that you will use these templates as a guide to help you make the points that you want to make and use your own words to add your personal perspective. Thank you for attending. If you have any questions, feel free to submit them via the question box on your screen. While you're typing out your questions, I want to remind everyone that PWSA USA is a 501c3 organization. So when you're meeting with your representatives on behalf of PWSA USA, keep in mind you're not lobbying, you're educating your legislators about the issues that are important to you. This is so we don't jeopardize our tax-exempt status. I also want to take a moment to encourage everyone to register to vote, check your voter registration status, and turn up at the polls this November. When we talk to our elected officials, we want to be able to say that 100% of the PWS community votes. If you need help finding out about voter registration deadlines in your state, voting times and locations, or whether or not you're even eligible to vote, please give me a call and I will help you through the process. Thank you for attending. If you have any questions, please submit them now. It doesn't look like we have any questions from our attendees today, so thank you everybody for attending. If you do have any questions, please reach out to info@pwsausa.org.